guys, my name is Meta. Welcome back to More Than Society Season 2, Episode 4.
Hello.
I want Anadi to host this time, so
I'll
go
be
first.
hosting.
Oh no, wait. Oh shit, this is interesting.
Yeah, I'll host this time because I wanted to try.
Okay.
So what's up, guys? How's your day so far?
Not bad. I have no laundry, so I'm wearing a t-shirt today, actually.
Awesome.
So it feels weird, but kind of like it, 50-50. I usually like t-shirts, I like to be like super like...
Yeah, chill.
Chill.
Like,
this feels kind of like really
sweatpants
formal
and,
and sweatpants and shirt.
Yeah.
So that's new for me, but we got new laundry today, so
Okay.
leaving tomorrow.
New laundry?
Yeah.
New laundry.
New laundry, bro.
Alright, no, what's up with you today?
I'm good. I'm kind of like in the flux of what's going to happen in the next days, so I'm just a bit like... It's new moon today, so I'm trying to bring positive energies, like new fresh start, new chapter. This you're gonna leave,
Awesome.
so yeah, I'm just
That's-
excited to be in Bali. Gonna start a new chapter.
Okay, cool, awesome.
And what about you?
I just hit the gym and did a nice long walk, and it was really relaxing. Feeling good today, really good.
That's good.
Nice.
So what are we talking about
Okay,
today?
so we're gonna talk about something. It's gonna be really abstract, and it's gonna be more psychology based. But let's see what you guys come up with, and let's see what different ideas you guys can bring to the table. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually like feminine energy and masculine energy, but I don't want to say that these energies are like innate and they're like they're not like the female or male energy. It's like
It's not has to do with gender.
It doesn't have to do anything with gender.
Mm-hmm.
These energies exist in like they exist most like in
Each
like in each
individual?
like a spectrum, and it'll be more in one and the other. So a woman can be more masculine too, and masculine energy have more masculine energy, and a man can have a more female energy than, and vice versa. Just a spectrum or like percentage. There's a word that I think a different word for this.
the Carl Jung?
Yeah, the Carl Jung. Yeah.
Well, he was saying that how it's called anima when it's the masculine energy is more predominant in a woman,
Okay.
and animus when the feminine energy is more predominant in male.
So what's the term? Anima?
Yeah, I wrote it here for
Amina and Amin?
Okay. Anima and anima and animus. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So you know more? Do you know about these topics?
No, I actually never heard of masculine and female energy before this.
Anima and
Probably heard it for the first time.
Anima.
I've heard of Carl Jung, I've heard of Amina and Aminas.
Okay.
But masculine and feminine energy, no idea.
Yeah, I think that those terms really are confusing for sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
they do bring confusion to the table.
Right.
Away, you're like, wait,
What does that mean?
Yeah.
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 And then you say it's not to a specific gender.
So
Right.
these terms are better.
Mm-hmm.
Anima. So we'll use these terms instead of using
masculine and feminine energies. I feel like maybe you have something triggering you with this feminine energy or masculine energy, and I feel like I shouldn't. Like for me, it's so natural to think about these terms. Like
Yeah.
growing up, it was like I kind of knew where my energies were coming from. Like yes, I'm human. It's like energy is like breathing and things, but
Right.
I like to go deep and more like, so when I'm meditating or when I'm in a creative process, my energy and my flow is different. When I'm actually doing something oriented, I have to be really focused and go getting, and then I know my energy is different.
Right.
So in myself, I interplay these energies a lot more. And amongst my girlfriends, I realized that I'm maybe more masculine energy to say that I take leadership. I'm like, okay, do this, do that. Let's get this done. How can we get this done? And problem solving. Whereas some of my girlfriends would not have that action-oriented mindset, and but at the same time they'd be really good at nurturing and caring and things like that, which I'm okay with too.
Yeah,
but they would just be more focused on those energies,
Right.
and they'd be scared to do things.
Yeah. And what about you?
Well, I mean,
Well, I actually want to say like I want to use these terms, animus, and not female and masculine energy, because it brings confusion to the table and to the viewers, to the listeners. So let's use those terms.
Okay.
But we obviously mean more masculine and female energies.
Mhm.
But if
Anima
for culture,
energy.
he says it that when a female has more masculine energy,
Right.
it's called animas.
Right.
So the reason why I was saying feminine and masculine, because it's like in general.
Right.
It's not comparing to a gender.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, but so what's breathing? Is breathing considered masculine energy? Is female energy? What is it?
No, that's not.
No.
So what is it?
That's just the basic human function.
Just
We're not-
basic human
Yeah,
function.
like we're not well versed in human psychology, but that's like has nothing to do with
So
with masculine.
So why is nurturing considered? I mean, it's energy.
Because it's
It's a
more,
behavior, it's an action.
It's a
Well, I mean, breathing
it's more
is a
innate
behavior
in
too.
females
What?
to nurture.
Or is it learned?
It's definitely learned. It could be
No.
learned.
It's
It could be
mostly
taught.
learned, I think, and that's
It
where
could
the
be
energy.
taught.
No.
Yeah.
It's mostly learned, and that's
Yeah.
why I think this definition falls
Yeah.
because
No.
you're triggering getting things and nurturing and caring to be specific to certain types of individuals, but it's not.
It's not about individual, it's about energy. Like, where is it coming from? Which part of your heart, which part of your mind?
But
But
I think
it's just-
I think Irvin is right. Like it could be taught too, right?
Yeah.
And
So-
and then that's where anxiety comes from too, like and traumas.
Well, when you're kids, right? Like, I used to play
Yeah.
with dolls and I liked to take care of her. Mom didn't tell me take care of the doll. I
Right.
like to do it. I like to take care of it and then
You don't
make
know how
sure-
much of that is learned around you, right? Because you
And-
grow up watching TV, you grew up with kids playing with dolls, you're
Yeah.
female, right? So you don't know. It doesn't
Well,
matter if your mom has to tell you.
Because, like, I had a friend, his brother was gay.
But again, I just want to say like you have options too, right?
Yeah.
She was still growing up with watching Hot Wheels and watching,
Sure, but it's like the
masculine
TV and things
cars.
are oriented.
Even surrounded with us. Right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
yeah, but
surrounded
they're
with you
oriented
guys' dad. It was all
to
male.
you're oriented to female things like advertisements. They know how to capture women's attentions compared to
Girl, I grew up in
men
India. We
attentions,
didn't even have
right?
TV.
So like the problem you're trying to like escape like how much environment impacts you.
Impacts, yeah.
Right.
This has nothing to do.
You have to grow up in a very environmentalist society to say that, oh yeah, this is not a learned behavior, right? Because it's
Some
so
of it-
hard to
yeah,
say
I
that.
agree. Some of it could be learned for sure.
Yeah,
is-
like
this
how much
is
of it
not-
is learned and how much of it is not learned.
This topic is not. It's more metaphysical than like.
But you can never separate the two because you live in this material world. You can't separate it. They're intertwined. And that's why conscientiousness defines no, it's just energy in
So
and of
wait,
itself.
so you're saying that it doesn't exist?
Yeah, I think it's a social construct.
It's a social construct.
Completely,
And
yeah.
you're saying that it's a human nature
I think it's like part of us since the beginning of time.
since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
No, I think it's more of a social
It's
construct.
like
than
shift
it is
shakti.
innate.
Like you can't do one or the other.
Right.
Like you can't create something
Mhm.
in this. Like you can't create this phone or laptop without merging those two energies together.
Together. Okay.
I think energy is just in itself, and when we talk conscientiousness and energy, that's something, right? That's something that's outside of this universe because that's like you're born with a certain type of
Right.
like it's just an energy. There's no to sort of that a female is born with more of this or more of that. It's just energy, and then that energy is molded by society. It's molded by your environment to act a certain way or to behave a certain way.
Mhm.
But in the beginning of time, it's just energy and conscientiousness.
Yeah, so you're saying the person's character and the person's ability to create, let's say, in
Right.
this context,
Yeah.
was influenced by
Yeah, heavily.
heavily
You
influenced
didn't
by
close the door.
Yeah, by society. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
close. It's just the wind. Yeah, so it's just that's why it's
Okay.
molded by it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think there's a lot of like hormonal aspects that play into role? Do you think believe that maybe?
For me, it has nothing to do with hormones.
Nothing to do with hormones.
Yeah, the energies.
So like if I'm running let's say I do a blood test and it shows higher estrogen
Testosterone or estrogen, yeah.
and yeah
That doesn't mean that you're
doesn't
gonna-
mean that I'm more connected to my
Yeah, and then doesn't mean you're
Femininity.
gonna be more creative
exactly okay yeah for sure
or you're gonna have more intuition.
right
Like if I have more
Yeah.
testosterone, doesn't mean I'm gonna be like always doing stuff and having action.
right
That's different. That's like your body.
Yeah, that's your
composition.
health.
Yeah, that's more
and
science.
you'll feel worse as
Exactly.
a person.
Yeah, for me that's that.
What do you agree with that or
Well, I mean, I think
He's just caught up with the whole gender thing.
so. Like testosterone and estrogen are gonna trigger behaviors that are known to be more masculine or feminine. I'm not sure if that's an energy because I don't like to define empathy or
We're talking about
nurturing as
hormones.
energy.
So like let's say you get a blood test and it shows higher
Mhm.
estrogen and lower test.
Right. How does
You
that?
you won't be more you won't be a more creative.
But it
person,
clearly
right?
affects your behavior.
Yeah, it clearly does. Yeah.
It clearly affects your behavior, right?
Yeah.
And nurturing and caring and doing things are all behaviors.
Right.
So they're inevitably going to affect your nurturing or your caring behavior, right?
Yeah.
Because how can you separate hormones from your behavior? The way you behave, the way you look at things, the way you act with other people. It's all going to change based off your hormones, right? If you take more, I think you're more well versed on this because of the fitness. But if you take more testosterone, what's the side effects? Aggression.
Oh yeah, aggression. Yeah, right.
Aggression, behavior, right?
Right.
These things are considered to be male traits, male energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, those
But
are
so they're
emotions.
intertwined,
Yeah, they are intertwined.
right?
Yeah.
So
I would disagree. I think those are like emotions. Like if you have more estrogen, you're going to be more sensitive. Well, it doesn't mean that you're going to be nurturing. It doesn't mean that you're going to be more
Well,
receptive
no,
to empathy.
but when you do have higher testosterone, like the normal range, you do get more aggressive. You show the more testosterone traits,
right.
like aggression, depression, also anxiety,
Mhm.
anxious, like just being jittery.
Right.
But you also feel like garbage too. You'll
So
feel like-
then
Right.
you do agree there's two different types of energies.
It's not energies, it's testosterone, it's hormones that affects your behavior.
behaviors, right?
The energy it is felt, so you
behaviors.
can't define that as that it's a more like a male or female. But so hormones that affect your behavior, that's for sure true,
Yeah.
right? But I never defined it as that's how a male behaves or that's how a female behaves.
No, again, we're not talking about gender. I'm talking about for me, these energies is like, it's in everybody, it's in all of us, okay?
Mhm.
These two types of contradicting,
But there are a lot of
things.
energies with us.
and
But yet they don't have, like,
in
a-
order for you to feel balanced, you need to know the balance of those two energies.
Well, no, because there's a lot of energies in you, and
Like-
a balance of everything is required. It's not just those two. There's so many other energies and types of behaviors and feelings and emotions that all need to be in sync. It's not just those two. I think it's just dumbing it down that it's just
No,
those
but
two
now
kind
we're
of
just
things.
talking about those
Yeah.
two.
But they're influenced by other factors. You can't just take out everything else and just focus on those two. Everything is influenced, right? Or testosterone.
Yeah,
or
like if you're
estrogen.
talking about chakra, let's say your heart chakra is open, then your
It's
throat
gonna-
chakra is going to be open, then you're
Right.
going to see, right? But
For example,
that's
going to affect
yeah.
your other energies.
But I'm talking about using that energy. So, like in a simple way, like feminine energy is like thinking of that creativeness. But if you think with the creative, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this song, and you don't put the masculine energy of actually doing it, it's not gonna manifest in the material world. So those two need to work hand in hand.
But that has to just do with thoughts and actions. It had nothing to do with feminine energy or like it's just thought and action. There's nothing more to it. Like, why does that have to be in that specific trait? Like, oh, these things are this type of energy and these things are this type of energy. That's not true. They're intertwined. Some things you find here and some things you find there, and vice versa. It's all mixed together, right? Sometimes action delivers thoughts, and thoughts, action delivers action. They're intertwined. But it's not like just one thing that these things are here and that drives this, right? They're all together and they have to be in sync together. It's not that you're sparking one energy and less of the other one, right? You're sparking one energy, which is going to spark another energy, spark another energy. So it's like it's all together. It's all a mix and it's all a bash, and you cannot box it in like that.
But it's not boxing in. I think it's more about like just defining these energies.
But when you
more.
define it in itself,
Because
you
the
box
state is
it.
not the same.
'Cause
Let's say
it's more like science, right?
The definition
Like,
boxes
it's the
it.
science of the human brain and the human function. It's more human than it is gender.
your energy when you're doing something, like you're actually doing it, is going to be different than when you're thinking about an idea.
Sure, but
That's what it is.
there's other energies at play as well. Like
But
to
just
simplify.
doing you're using the different force.
I think we should end this topic there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I completely disagree with this masculine energy and feminine energy. Like I don't.
I think you're just getting caught up with the
I think
name.
you're not understanding the
Yeah.
It's just
whole
energy.
concept.
I think
It's just energies, right? Why do we have to give it masculine or feminine?
Yeah.
Like, why is that different from any other energy?
right.
Right.
But I also want to talk about like dealing with arguments. Like we're just having an argument here, so like like dealing with arguments and
A female or male thing.
like yeah.
So like a gender thing, right?
Yeah.
And so like the learned behaviors.
Well, okay, so we were talking about masculine and feminine energies, which has nothing to do with gender, right? The
Yeah.
play. I feel like, okay, back in the time in the Industrial Revolution and everything was very patriarchal, right? Like women could not work, and it was always like male doing the things, provide for the woman, but as the women get into the workforce, daddy, right? We know the history, we know that, the concept. I find though, like right now, we became so much into this masculine of do energy. Like,
Yeah.
let's say you agree with me that masculine energy is doing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like do, that I feel like the whole female energy is looked as like, it's passive, it's looked at stupid, like nurturing, okay, you know, but I feel like we're celebrating too much of this do, girl boss, masculine energy. And I feel like people, especially women, are burning out. Because I think that obviously women are more nurturing and aware and empathetic than men. But in this hustling culture, I feel like women are not giving a chance to actually explore their feminine side and feminine energy. And they're suppressing it and they're calling it like, oh, I'm strong, I'm a girl boss. But they're playing the patriarchal game. And I feel like being a stay-at-home mom or like taking care of your kids should be celebrated. I think like back in the day how it was celebrated and respected, I think it should go back to that. Like now it's like, oh, we're equal, so women have to work. But
I don't think it's being pushed to do that. I think it's being more like you could do that. And I think it's like I don't think there's anything wrong with being a woman that wants to stay home in today's society. Do you face that?
I feel
You
like
face those
I feel like I
problems?
see a lot of women that are like CEOs or top directors and stuff, and they're burnt out, and they feel like
Right.
they have to compete with the men's and be acting like men, because if they start being the
Right.
sensitive side, it's just not going to be respected, and I think that narrative needs to change. Like I think women should be like women, like they should solve problems like women do by thinking about the community.
But
by
they could still be in the workforce, right?
Yeah, for sure. They
Okay.
can be the workforce, but the way they're in the workforce, I feel it's like
Yeah,
influenced
they're by men because
Yeah.
the men are running the show,
yeah,
right?
and they're burning out. You know,
Mhm.
like imagine if I were to tell you to always think about the community, be empathetic. Like it's not innately in you. You would feel like you would do it because you can. We both have the energies, but it's like it's pushed too much. You know, I think for the females.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. One thing that's super taboo is male staying at home, right?
Oh, you don't agree with that?
Yeah,
Like,
see,
male
that's
staying
that
at
too.
home
Male
at all.
staying at home. Yeah.
Right, but these are learned behaviors. It has nothing to do with energies.
But are
It's
you
just the way our
against?
society has been built.
Are you against like when you see a male at home?
Well, it's very taboo, but I would be okay. I'd be like, oh, that's pretty. I've never seen one.
Okay, but what would you think of that?
I'd be surprised. I'll be shocked, surprised, confused.
Okay, would you settle? Like, would you agree with it with him?
Yeah.
Like,
I would be like, yeah, hell yeah.
okay,
You know, because he went against like the societal norms,
and he's doing what he wants.
and he
likes
did
to
what he
do.
wants. He wants to stay home, which I've never seen that. I've
Okay.
never seen a male
So
stay at home.
So we would agree that he's like he's connecting more to his female energy, feminine.
No, I think he's just connecting to himself. There's no female to it, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
He's just connecting to more to himself. He's removing what society expects from him.
Right.
That's what he's doing.
He's following his heart. Like
He's
whatever
following his heart.
whatever
He's following his
comfortable
true
with.
energy or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Like his true self, kind of. But that's the thing, right? Like you see women going in workforces, and then you see women staying home, but then you don't ever see a man staying home,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on men to performance men.
Yeah.
right?
More
They have
than
to be a man.
women.
It's never like, oh, you can stay at home. At least women have the option,
Yeah,
kind of out
That's
there, right?
Yeah.
But then a man staying home is gonna be it's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
we're not there.
yeah,
we're
like
not
in-
there yet as a
yeah.
society to accept it, but
To
I think
accept
it's
it,
getting
yeah.
there.
like in India, I read that you can adopt a child, a lone man.
Right.
You can't.
You can't.
Right. Right. But I mean, I guess like now I'm thinking about it. It's because of social things, right? It's because like
laws,
the women have
laws
children,
get
so they have to stay
complicated,
home,
yeah.
right, to nurture the kid. But then the man has no obligation to be pregnant,
Yeah.
so why should they stay home,
Mm.
right? And that's how it's justified. I'm pretty sure that's how someone would
But
justify
even though
it.
a kid needs both their energies around it, especially at a young age.
Right, it's like patriarch leave, right?
Yeah, they have that now, right? Where the men are
Then-
allowed to.
yeah,
leave.
because to go be a father,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think being a father figure for kids is so important that
Right.
society forgets about that. Like you need both mom and dad energy to kind of give the child a full spectrum of what's happening.
Yeah. I want to also talk about like the same topic, but like in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. What about gay parents?
I'm not like okay, like how their gender like
Yeah. What
I
about
feel
their
like
energies?
they have their own kind of spectrum and they kind of balance they know where to balance it out, and I think they're attracted to the opposite or the same. But I think for them too, they have some energies. Like remember Vishal's brother was like gay, right? So I learned a lot from him, and he would tell me, he's like, oh well, it depends your spectrum. You know, some men are really, they're gay, but they don't look gay, and they're like acting like males. Some are more feminine, and you know, and then you see the couples, they're kind of like, they know they're getting married, and one is wearing the suit, the other one was not, or they're both wearing dresses. And I think it's like for them, like how they feel comfortable. It's not so much black and white, I think, for them. But the LGBTQ, I just want to say, I feel like they really don't like male.
Oh yeah, you have a story, right?
Yeah, like they don't like
Yeah.
male. Like I remember I was part of the community in Montreal, and I took a guy, and he's like tall, 6 feet tall, and he's like very manly kind of, you know, like.
Is he white?
Yeah.
Oh, he's done.
White. You know? And like you see, Anadi, you're wearing that necklace, right? So you're like, okay, gender, put nail polish, okay, they will accept you, because then you're like playing with fluidity, right?
Yeah.
But if
he's also
someone-
brown,
Yeah, but
Gives you
someone's
points.
white and just like male, even though he's really open-minded, gets it. Like I took him there in this party, and everyone just like looking at him and like staring at him, and he's like asking for a drink. He's getting ignored. Like you can tell people are uncomfortable.
Right.
And I was like, this is so not fair. Like it's like almost the opposite. Like you guys fought against all this
You're right.
prejudged stuff, and now you're doing the same thing to this person.
Yeah.
And he felt really bad. He's like, man, I feel really uncomfortable. Like, did I do something?
Wow, that's horrible.
You know, and I felt, wow, this is so not cool.
Well, it's because
they feel like, oh, this guy bullied me.
right.
He represents the bully that bullied in high school. But
Exactly.
not everyone's like that.
But it's a quota system, right? Like, do you know what I mean? It's a quota system in their heads. As in, like, I don't know if people knows about this, but India and Southeast Asia heavily rely on a quota system where, because of the caste system, people of lower caste are actually given more seats in the education system. And if you're higher caste, you're given less seats because of their privilege. So in order to gain back some kind of ground of levelness, also in South Africa, the cricket team, they're required to have at least 4 or 5 black players on the cricket team, and not white players, right? So if you're on the South African cricket team, then you're gonna have better chance if you're black.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to kind of gain back and bring back this conversation, dismantle thing, bring back to the, we're discussing males and females, also in, for example, in educational institutions like McGill, females are given specific scholarships, right, that males are not. If you're part of the indigenous or black community, you're given more opportunities, and it's in order to bring the levels together. So when a white male walks into that kind of place, it's in their heads having that quota system that he doesn't really belong here because of the repercussions that he has to face because of his ancestors, even though he himself has done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So, but this thing is broad, and it's kind of hard to, like, I'm not sure if I'm, to be honest, personally, if I'm against or with the quota system. Like, how far do you go in order to bring the other level equality up, and how long do you sustain this for, right? So it's a really tough conversation, but these are the conversations that people are having in their minds, and in order for it to be actionable, these are the type of actions that come through.
But like one
Bring them
person should
together.
not represent the whole race. You
But
know,
then-
that's the whole thing. That's how we're gonna dismantle this racism. Like for me, like that guy coming there, in this ambiance. Like, first of all, he took the energy to come
Yeah.
to your party, right?
Exactly.
Already he's like making an effort to be like, hey, peace and love. And now you're gonna be like, oh, get out?
Yeah.
That's not
I
cool.
think through their experience, they should know that we shouldn't generalize.
Exactly, because they've been through that. It's kind of like,
we need to move beyond what we experienced already.
yeah, or else how is the change gonna happen?
Yeah.
And
there's
also,
no change.
they feel like if they give them a chance, then they're gonna get repressed again, right? So if you let them be in the stool on the pedestal again, or be equal, right? I love that equality thing about, like, I don't know if you guys have seen
Yeah,
it.
the fence.
The fence and the books and whatever, right? Equality is like everybody has the same thing, but some guys like more short, so it requires more, right? So if you let them have that, they're just gonna take advantage of it. So they have to keep this kind of suppressed thing to bring in equality. And the outlook too is so important. Russia now has a really bad outlook because of all the sanctions that the international community did on them, even though specific Russian people haven't done anything wrong, right? Germany still faces comeback from what they did in World War II with the whole world. And the whole outlook on Germany now, they're so apologetic for what they did that even their history to this day, they're still paying repercussions to Europe, right? That's why they helped out Greece. That's why they helped out all these other countries in Europe that are poorer than them, because they're still paying repercussions for what they did. Even though individual people, someone that's born in Germany in 2006 hasn't done anything in 1946, but he's still paying taxes.
True.
He's still paying back for what their ancestors did. And this is the consequences. These are the consequences of your actions.
Yeah. And I do believe that we're not just born like, oh, I'm meta and this is my life. No, like I have a last name that I've given to me. This skin color is like not my choice, right? So this comes with a responsibility.
Right.
Like my Indian heritage and stuff. Like I didn't choose it, but there's all this background baggage that I carry with me. Right. And people
when you're born
expect
into it. Yeah.
people expect that from me. Like, oh, you're Indian, so this,
Right.
right? And at the same time, maybe I'm spiritual because of that too.
Right.
Like, maybe if I was born white Canadian, I wouldn't be so spiritual or open-minded about these things too, right?
Right.
So again, we don't know where it's stemming from. Is it either like my environment or is it actually my blood, my ancestors?
Right.
Do you want to end this topic with? Do you want to say something to the listeners, to the viewers?
All I wanted to say was, like, your friend has to carry that kind of weight on himself.
I think most people in America, especially white males, are going through a really sad time. And I know that males, like I have you guys, right? I know that males are very emotional beings and like they also need love and nurture, and they're not the same males that were back 10, 15 years ago. Like even India has changed so much. Like when I used to walk around, all these 30, 40-year-old men used to stare at me. Now I walk around, the 20-year-olds, they don't even look. They're so respectful. They're like, okay, I like that because I want to be able to talk to girls. I want to be able to have a safe environment for both of us, and instead of like being like condemning them for the past, like no, we should move forward with love and peace. Like we're all new blood now. This is new earth, and we have the capability of understanding. Back then, our ancestors didn't have this knowledge, didn't have access to internet, so much knowledge. But now I think the youth is really waking up, and I think the LGBTQ also should learn that they need to accept cis male, especially white male, especially if they're coming to their parties. Like, okay, there might be some saying whatever, but if someone's making an effort to be part of your community and they don't want to put a nail polish and they want to be who they are, let them be who they are.
But they're going to take over.
What? Take over what?
I think that Meta really like ends this thing with that saying, what Meta just said to the viewers. I think that's beautifully said with a lot of passion.
But that's where it comes from, like that they can't give.
But I think
but that's fear.
But that's
we shouldn't do things based on fear. We should do it based on love.
Yeah, I think ultimately we just need to move forward and from our experiences and not just repeat the cycle.
Yeah,
and that's
then
it.
we're gonna just keep doing it again and again and again.
And let's talk about love though, and let's bring love to the equation.
Like gender love,
Yeah, like gender love, and
or in universal too, kind of.
Yeah, sure. And like, how do you know when someone loves you, right? Like, the expression that goes around someone that loves you. Like,
but there's different types of love. Are you talking about romantic love?
Yeah, romantic love. Like, is there more masculine energies and the different types of energies, the feminine energy in love when you're trying to express love?
I think that I think it's from my experience, I think girls have an easier time to express their love than males do. But that's not always true,
Right.
right? It comes out like how you grew up, if
And-
love was always available
and
to
like
you.
the relationship and
Yeah. So, what about
what
you?
about you? You think it's easier for you to express your love, or
It's
in your-
dependent on the person, I think. You can't just, I don't know, I feel like it's just dependent on the person. People are so different from one another that you can't really expect. And I feel like
so
if you
it's-
expect something, then
so you express it differently based on the
Yeah,
person,
right.
It's
And
more
the needs,
easier.
yeah,
it's more easier.
It's based on communication,
Right.
and it's based on what the other person feels like and their expression of love. So it's completely different. For
Like there's
each
the
person.
5 whatever language of love, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
that's like some people need affection, some people need gifts,
Words of affirmation.
some people need But I think that if you were to ask me universally, like how do you know if someone really loves you? I think I talked about this in my last podcast about sacrifice. I feel like if you can sacrifice something for somebody, I think that's stemming from like love.
I guess you just know if the person loves you.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do of getting something from them. It's about giving.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you really want to like make the other person happy just for the sake of it,
Right.
I think that's love.
Mm-hmm.
Like unconditional, like
Yeah.
you don't expect anything
Yeah.
back, and when
Yeah.
once it's given, it's given.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like I'm gonna do it so then they do it.
Right.
You just do it for the sake of doing it,
Right. For sure.
you know. And I don't know. Recently, like not recently, but like I had this feeling like I really loved some, you know. And then I'm like, oh, I shouldn't say it. And then I was like, you know what, I love you, and I felt it, and I was like, wow, it was this type of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like you just want to do it for the sake of doing it. And I think love is the most beautiful human experience. Not just romantically,
Yeah.
but like just loving.
Loving things, even, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to love
Yeah.
humans.
But I just want to say that sometimes we really get confused love and attachment.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
Lust.
oh, I love this car,
Yeah.
so it's mine,
Yeah.
right? And if someone comes and be like, can I have your car? You're gonna be like, no, it's my
Yeah.
car. I love this car.
Possessive, yeah.
You know, and it's like an attachment.
Right.
But if you really love this car and it's just sitting in a garage,
Right.
and some guy's like, yo, can I drive your car?
Right.
Like if you really love that
it,
car,
you would want everyone to experience it.
exactly.
Right. And that's true love.
Yeah, I think
So
attachment.
for all the car guys out there,
Yeah, attachment and love. are-
attaching to your car could be toxic.
Well,
So
I was
watch out.
emotionally attached to my car, so
Yeah.
lost it.
But then it becomes like, because you take care of your car,
Right.
and polish it,
And you don't trust if the other person is
person's
gonna.
gonna- yeah, right.
True.
But if it's your best friend and stuff, but that becomes like, you love that best friend. That's why you are willing to share your most prized possessions.
What do you love most? Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's why people get
I-
jealous, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
jealousy and stuff,
Right.
because they're like
Do you
possessed.
think there's like a cultural difference?
In love?
Yeah, in love.
For sure, 100%. 100%. Like in India, people are very, very open with love, especially like mothers and fathers. They're like really expressive with love and they're like really like emotional about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like back home, everything is like, it's kind of like you're gonna be vulnerable if you love. So
When you say back home, you mean
Montreal, Canada. Yeah, I feel like people are more cautious with love and they want to put more logic
Uh-huh.
more than love.
Okay.
Like, they're not gonna baby maybe their kids as much as in India.
And Indians.
They're gonna be more like logic and be like, put more
So,
logic in
yeah.
it. And you know how they have the cribs too? Like the crib
Yeah.
is like away from the parents, but
Right.
in India the kid sleeps with the parents
Yeah.
and little things like that. And
Do you have like do you agree with one or the other more, or
like,
it
what do
doesn't
you mean?
matter?
What?
The Western style of love, or
But I don't think love changes culturally. I think the expression of love changes
The
culturally.
emotion is there.
The emotion is the same.
Yeah.
but
The
it's the expression is different.
Expression is different.
Right. And do you agree with one or the other expression more than the other, or it doesn't
I
matter?
think sacrifice is a huge role in expression. I
And
think that's
in India they sacrifice a lot.
they sacrifice a lot, and I think.
So you agree with the Indian culture more?
Yeah.
I think the Indian culture is not as polluted with logic and it's more with the heart,
Okay.
the expression.
the expression. So I
Mhm.
think it's more sincere
Yeah.
and it flows more than back home in Canada. I feel like back home in Canada we kind of we mechanical, like, come on, Lisa, like, we made it too structured.
Okay.
You know, everything is rule based. This, that. It's like no, it's
logistics.
Like, yeah, it's like a flow. You know.
Right.
And but at the same time, there's a time and a place. Like I'm lucky enough to be witnessing both cultures that I try to take good from both. Like then it becomes very toxic in India because then the kid feels guilty. It's like my parents sacrificed so much, and now I'm gonna be a douchebag and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But he's putting these conditions on them, right? So now he's gonna stop following his dream because he feels bad of all the sacrifices the parents made, right? So then it's like, okay, you should sacrifice for your kids, but don't put it on them, and then be like the Western, give them space to be who they want.
So you're gonna when you're gonna be raising your kids, you're gonna be combining.
Yeah,
both?
I'm gonna be interplaying both roles.
Yeah, it's balancing both expressions of love because more of both becomes too toxic.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a balance of both expressions.
Yeah.
And there's probably other different types of expressions too. It's also important to recognize that your kid is also going to have certain expectations from you to love them a certain way, and you have to have that conversation of what they prefer, even if you don't prefer, right?
I think romantically, if you go back to love, I think both partners should give their 100%.
Well, I think where it lacks is the expression.
But I want to ask you, Vera, something, if I can ask Nada, how would you raise your kids, like by combining both expressions, or do you agree with one?
Well,
or
initially
the
it'd probably be more with sacrifice, and then as the kid grows older, I would try to have more of a conversation of what they prefer, or if it's too much, or if it's too little, or what's kind of love.
Okay, so you would ask them.
What they
what's
prefer.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just automatically.
Just give love the way you want to.
No, not that. What I would do was just like based on behaviors.
No, I would have the conversation.
You would have the conversation. Okay.
Yeah. Try to have the conversation.
And you?
Yeah, I think I agree with you a bit more. That's more my realm. Because asking and keep asking.
Right. Because it
Just
changes.
keep asking.
Yeah, it just changes,
asking.
right? Yeah.
Like, what do you want?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the freedom
And
of
listening to what they want.
Yeah.
True.
So they have the freedom to
And you
feel
know that
love.
hurts because that could be very that's
Because it's not the way you
love.
want it.
You want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing though.
And that's
But you don't give a
sacrifice.
shit.
And that's
Yeah.
sacrifice.
You don't
and
give a
that's-
shit, right?
that's sacrifice.
It's
about
not about
giving.
me.
It's
Yeah,
about
it's not
giving.
about me. It's
Yeah.
about them. So
Yeah.
like, why do you give a fuck if the expression is not how
Yeah.
it suits you? It's not. It was never about that in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where true sacrifice
Exactly.
sacrifice love comes.
True.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's about giving, right?
Right.
Right.
Like, how can you give in the
Mhm.
best
Yeah.
possible way that it will be received?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if your expectations are
At
squashed.
what age would you start asking?
Alright, that's a tough one, dude.
Yeah, we're not parents yet.
Parents are fucking complicated. And don't want to go.
Well,
down
let's
that
go
path.
back to romantic then.
Well, you can have a conversation anytime you want.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Right away, as a friend as well, right? Even as friends, you know.
Yeah.
Like, what's up? What do you want?
Yeah.
So yeah.
How can I make you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
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 And I feel like people don't have this conversation a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's awkward. It's not
Yeah.
socially accepted.
Yeah.
It's not socially accepted to
Accepted.
give, huh? It's
Right.
like, how can I take love from that person?
Yeah.
And like even your friends, like, oh, does he like you? What did he do for you?
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
And I realized that conversation. I was like, wait a second. How do I tell if I like someone?
Yeah.
I'm like, do I want to be giving?
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest sign.
Mm.
Like if I want to give and I'm like a fountain of like, oh my god, then I'm like, yo, I like this guy.
Yeah.
It's not like the opposite.
Right.
How much you're receiving.
Yeah.
You want to
'Cause-
give.
Yeah, I
You
want
to
to
be
give.
vulnerable.
And I want to give with my full heart, not pretend to give, but
Right.
to actually genuinely want to give.
Yeah.
You
And that's
know?
when we get mixed in with games and stuff, right? Like,
Right.
should I not reply? Should I reply? Am I being too needy? Not needy?
Yeah.
But you know, honestly, if you set the foundation first and you're authentic,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't think these questions are gonna matter as much. So, you know, I always say, like, just be authentic, be yourself, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, then at least you're true to yourself, and that's what counts.
Exactly. And like I always tell
Never
people,
sacrifice
I always
yourself.
tell people this too.
You're not
I'm
fake.
like, okay, so let's say you give yourself, right? And you get hurt, they don't receive
Yeah.
back.
Right.
Are you gonna die?
No.
Like
Yeah.
you're gonna survive, right? You
No.
will get up.
You're gonna
and
look
you
back and you're gonna be like, wow, I had so much
you're gonna
love.
survive.
Yeah.
So might as well just do it with full heart, man.
Right. Yeah.
Because then half-fast is like you're not even living up to your full heart potential.
Right. Right.
Like,
And
you know?
you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
Like in this life, I don't think you're not gonna be
Might as
safe
well
from
get
getting
really
hurt.
hurt, right?
Yeah.
Then
You're,
like
you're not gonna be safe from getting hurt, no
Yeah.
matter what you do. You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna get hurt eventually, even if
And
you're detached or
it's
whatever.
true.
like,
And I always also say
it's
like
tough.
wear your scars like proud, like with medals.
Right.
You know? It's like, so what? You got your heart broken, man, you loved. A lot of people don't even know what true love
the
is.
people don't have the courage to love
Yes, it takes a lot of courage to love.
because they're scared of the hurt.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't have one without
That's
the
true.
other.
I'm very risk oriented, right? Like for me, finance was like, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. So I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, love is very powerful.
Who wants to end this episode with a final say to the viewers about love?
But I wanted to talk about how, because I want to go back to the topic, but now where I want to talk about gender. How do we deal with arguments? Like I realize that, like when there's a fight between a couple or something,
Yeah.
like, and especially between us, let's say I'm female, you guys are male, you know, are you? I don't know. Like how do you, like
I'm
sometimes
feminine energy.
sometimes dealing with arguments was so different,
Okay.
and I never realized how
Go ahead.
different it was until
Dealing with arguments?
yeah.
Oh, are you getting at the
Example.
quiet? The males become quiet and
Yeah.
females become
Like
talkative.
yeah, like when I have a fight, I want to talk it out.
No.
I want to be like, okay, let's solve this. Where's the common point?
Yeah, for sure.
Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But I realize male needs space.
Yeah, we do. I don't know. These are learned behaviors.
I
Though.
think it becomes again what Barry said. You ask, bro.
Right.
You have to ask the person, do you want to have a conversation right now or later about
Right.
this topic?
That's true.
And
That's true.
that's when you have to go forward.
Yeah. Yeah. But
you cannot force
yeah.
emotions, and you cannot force when someone doesn't want to talk.
Right. But I would say this that I feel like as a male, you fight a lot of battles by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, a
Yeah,
lot of battles
and-
that people don't see and you don't talk about. And
Yeah, and girls don't. I don't think we have this. Like we
I
always
know.
want to talk it out, and we always want to share. Like remember watching Sex and the City too? They're always talking to their friends,
Right.
sharing the problems,
right.
and it's like lets the burden out. But males don't really talk about their problems, right? Like why is it such a big taboo to talk about?
I don't know because I don't know. I guess we just learn to fight demons by ourselves.
Selves, yeah.
It
Why?
helps you
Really?
become stronger mentally. I find if
Yeah.
you don't talk about
Yeah.
it and you kind of think about things yourself, and you're not kind of lured into thinking a certain way or not thinking a
Because
certain way.
you know,
and
men
opinions.
are like problem solvers more,
Yeah.
and they want to solve things on their own.
Right.
They don't want help.
Yeah. They don't want to help. They want to be
First-
independent
First, they
as
want
much
to
as possible.
solve it themselves
Right.
the way the best they can. They
Right.
kind of like that's the way I am at least.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
And if it really becomes like
Bearable,
unsolvable
yeah.
by yourself,
Right.
that's when you.
But I'll
reach out,
tell
seek
you
help.
from
Right.
But even that, it's like really.
You're not expecting much.
I'm not expecting much
Right.
either, and it's at the very lowest. I'll ask for help.
Right. Right.
There's something that I need help with.
that's so crazy for me. It's like
Because you
alien
know what
talk.
it is, you know.
Why it's so bad?
Because you know what it is. It builds character, and
Yeah.
it builds your brain and your capacity to handle
handle
more and to
things,
solve
yeah.
problems quicker, faster. You have to do it yourself, and it's a journey of yourself. It's
Yeah,
part
but
of the
let's
journey
say
of yourself.
You're gonna lose everybody in your
Yeah,
life. You know.
you are. Everyone comes
Eventually,
and
everybody
goes,
comes and
Yeah,
goes.
but let's say
And
you're,
you're gonna
I
have
have a
yourself.
girlfriend.
and you learn so much, and you can teach others. Just
Right.
because you learned it to deal with it yourself.
on your with
on your
yourself.
own.
But let's say you have a girlfriend, okay? You guys have a fight, and she wants to talk it out.
Mhm. And I don't.
Yeah, and you need space to think
Think
about
about
it,
it.
solve it.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you the perspective that I have. Let's say,
Yeah.
you know, like if my
So how do we
the other
balance that?
partner's doing
Yeah.
it, you know how I feel? I feel like I want to talk it out. I know.
Right away.
Yeah, I want to
No.
I want to talk it out. I want to talk about what happened so I can understand what's going on in your mind. Maybe you have some misunderstanding that you're thinking, but that you don't even know that's the real facts. And then we can put it out there at the table, and we can find a middle ground and take this.
But you want to do
Dirt
this
out.
right away, finish it right away.
Yeah, like yo, let's talk. What happened? Why are you in a bad
And
mood?
then
They're like,
I
no,
wanna
give me
be-
some time. Yeah.
yeah.
And then I'm waiting, right? And then for me, this is the sentiment that happens. It's like, okay, now I'm waiting because they told me I need some space. So I'm just sitting there,
Anxious.
and I can smell like it's almost like this picture I have where the guy's sitting in shit because he's in a bad mood, right? So he's shitting in shit. And I'm just there, and I'm like, yo, I can smell that shit. Like, can we just take it out? Like, what's going on? Like, just clean it.
No,
But
it's
it's
okay
like,
to
no.
be in shit.
I'm gonna sit in the shit, and now I have to
Yeah.
sit there and smell it too, you know? And it's like uncomfortable.
That's okay.
But that's it.
But then again, it's catering more towards him than it is to her.
Right? That's it. Like it's like I'm
So how do we balance that?
yeah, like I'm just sitting there
Because
like
she
waiting.
wants. Because the girl wants to solve it right away, but the guy is like, I need time. So how do we balance that?
Yeah.
I guess
What's
you
the
find the time to
solution?
talk about it, right?
Yeah,
It's not going to be right now, and it's probably going to be later.
that's the best balance.
That's the best balance, yeah.
So he has to take the courage to talk about it, and the girl has to have patience and smell the shit and wait until he's ready to talk about it.
No, I'm just asking when you want to talk about it.
Yeah, but so both have to kind of, like, he needs to make an effort to talk and
Yeah,
to put the
for
cards
sure.
out there, and she needs to make an effort to sit with that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
both have to kind of
like,
learn each
if
other.
he says like, oh, I need a week, and you don't agree with that, for sure, you know, you say, no, I need 3 days. So you come up with that balance of,
Right.
instead of a week, you
Right.
say 3 days, and that's it.
Right, right.
Right, and that's the balance that you guys strike on.
That's true.
Like I don't have any girlfriends
So
that were
it's-
like,
it's
oh, I
for-
need
so
space.
this way
It's
they-
always like we talk it out.
Right, but this way you're both sacrificing, right? You're both
Yeah.
sacrificing. He's saying, okay, fine, I'll sacrifice the next 4 to 3 days, and I'll talk sooner. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'll sit in your shit for
Yeah,
another 3
exactly,
days. So you're
exactly.
both sacrificing.
Both
you're
sacrificing.
both come to a balance. But again, it comes down to communication. You have to communicate and you have to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you're asking, it has to be monotone. It has to be neutral.
Right, it can't be
Yeah,
a condescending
Yeah,
tone.
it's like you're a different person now.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
you're like, you don't
That's
know
a
this
good
person
point.
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
And when you're asking, just like, okay, this is a problem. It's separated from us.
Right.
And when do you want to talk about this problem?
I see. Yeah,
You
no,
know,
for
and
sure.
Very
Yeah.
neutral. No condescension. No passive aggressiveness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that it's like it's good to have emotions, but it's bad to be emotional.
Right, because you're letting your emotions control you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, men don't get into emotions, right? They
Right.
really decide more logically.
Right.
Do you have a hard time crying and stuff? Like girls don't have a hard time crying or expressing their feelings.
Okay. Hard time crying?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't cry as easily, but I don't suppress it either.
Mm.
I don't suppress it, but it's not as easier. And
Like-
if I would say like girls cry more easily, but I don't cry. I think like it'll get so hard that I will cry. It'll be like when I'm crying, it means like hell broke loose.
Mm.
And I think for girls, it's like it's just a little,
And that's how they
like a
express
small little weight, and it just start coming down quick. For me, it's like it's at the bottom of the pit. That's where I'm crying. At the rock bottom, you know.
I really like it if a guy.
But I don't
is-
suppress. I don't
cries.
suppress.
I think it's like the strongest trait. If a
Yeah.
guy actually shows me he's serious, like we're talking about
Yeah.
something and it's emotional, and then
Right.
you start
Yeah,
crying.
for sure. I love crying.
I'm like, wow, this guy's
I
a
feel
real
so
man.
relieved
Like
when I'm
I
crying.
really feel like that.
Yeah, I cry more than I like to admit. Probably 2 weeks or
But I don't
something.
cry that easily. But when I do cry, I do feel a relief, and I don't suppress. the-
Okay, but be honest. Do you think it's annoying when girls cry?
No.
When girls
Never.
cry, it depends. Actually, for me, I could find it annoying.
I don't find never.
Never.
No.
I never get uncomfortable. I find it very natural. I find it okay. I find it to be a sign of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, oh.
But I find it annoying if it's something like taboo that they're crying about.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know, like maybe you drop a little dish, you know.
Oh, and they
then
were like,
start-
oh, why'd you do this? I
Yeah,
told
they
you not
start
to do
breaking down and
it.
crying, you know.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Then they get to
Right.
bit too much, and I think even as a person, you should have some control over your emotions
Mhm.
at a certain time. Like you know, it can be too much
Right.
of anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like being stoic. You
Yeah.
gotta be a stoic.
Right. Right.
You can't give in too much in your emotion. Value your emotions, even if there's happiness or sadness.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should discuss that in
Yeah.
different podcasts.
They say that emotion lasts 90 seconds.
Wow.
So that too, you know, like don't take life so seriously. Don't
Yeah,
even take your emotions
yeah.
so seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
Like anger, happiness, all this just
Yeah.
like fades
Yeah,
away
that's-
too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, then what do you even? But then it's also like human experience, right?
Right.
Right.
You can't be robots.
Right.
It's just okay. Let's end this podcast here, guys. I think it was really good, really interesting. Is there something you want to end it with for the
No,
viewers?
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, you're you.
I'm good. Yeah.
Good. Okay. I just want to end it with the argument thing. I want to repeat it one more time. Is like just ask and ask and ask. In a relationship, just keep asking what the other person wants and if they're okay, and take the sacrificial steps and to listen to what they want, and it could be completely different than what you want for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
Expectations.
And I think that's true love.
Yeah.
I think
True.
we should just end it there. We'll talk in the next episode. We'll come together maybe somehow. And,
Yeah, we have one more episode left. Hopefully we can be able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peace out,
Ciao.
guys.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you Anadi for hosting. That
I
was
think
fun.
that was good. I don't know. It's kind of.
Did you have fun though? It's
Yeah,
all about having
yeah.
fun. I feel like for me, anything you do, just have fun. So thank you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and see you next episode. Thank you so much.
Get back.
I am quite unique.
I love you. I just want you to sleep.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't wanna fight. I don't like fighting, man. I'm a chill person, bro.
No.
Yeah, chill, I'm chill. I'm chill. I'm chill. I'm chill. I'm chill.